We're going to talk about applying finish to pen parts, and the finish that we're going to be dealing with is actually a flexible CA glue finish. And so we're going to prep this piece and get it ready to go.
Well, Dave, I bought the kit here.
Yeah.
And previously I always used just component parts, so why don't you tell me a little bit about this and what we're going to be dealing with.
With the kit, what you get is some thin glue and then some medium, the glue finish, and then also in there are polishes that you can use after you've applied the finish to polish it and bring it up just to a mirror finish. So that's kind of what you get in the kit, and the accelerator, of course, that we'll use in this process. So I'm going to go ahead and finish sanding this piece and get it ready for us to apply the finish.
What kind of sandpaper was this that you were using, Dave?
That's micro mesh,
Okay.
and it's really a very nice
And that comes
abrasive.
in grits?
Yeah, and what we had there, that was 400 that I started with, and then I'm just going to these non-woven abrasive pads to bring it on up. And in the end, we're at somewhere around 1,000 roughly.
Are these color-coded in some way?
They are, yeah. The color indicates how abrasive they are. And so, as you know, this is the part that really determines the end finish, how good it's going to be. The better prep you have, the better it's going to finish. So now, I'm going to start to apply this stuff, and I'm using this blue shop towel. It's kind of interesting that the blue towel works better than white ones because this is acid-free. And we just want to apply a thin coat directly to the bare wood.
What kind of speed are you running at?
I'm not exactly sure, but around 1,000, not nearly as fast as I would be for turning the piece. I don't want it to throw the finish off. And
Is it important that that coat be thin?
yes, the coat, this first one, all the coats want to be applied thin, but the first one especially, and it is the thin finish, so we want it to penetrate into the wood and really bond to the wood. Then I spray just a quick shot of accelerator so that that's now dry, and I'm ready to start the successive coats now.
I notice you have safety glasses on. Is there a good reason for that?
Well, other than it's good shop practice anytime, but in this case, the glue is very sensitive to moisture, and so there's moisture on your eye, and if any of this would fly off into your eye, it'll set instantly, and that can be kind of painful. So I've applied that, again, a thin coat. And another thing is that you don't sand between coats. We don't want to do that, and don't try to put the adhesive on there or the finish on there. Just put it on the towel, and then a nice, quick, easy pass across, and a little of this.
Now
You
You started with this smaller bottle first, and now you're using this bigger bottle. What's the difference between those two?
This is the thin.
Okay, that you started with.
And you just start with it. That's why it's a smaller bottle, because you're not going to use nearly as much of it as you are. Then this is the medium.
So that thin allows it to really penetrate into the wood?
Exactly. That's exactly what we're after, so that it really can get in there. And you see, I'm trying not to put very much of this on in each of these coats.
How many coats do you need to put on?
5 or 6. So that you build, again, slowly building the thickness up. And that is because, again, we aren't sanding between coats. But when we get to the end of this, we'll sand and then polish that, and we need enough thickness to allow us to do that.
It looks like you're only using one drop.
That's pretty much what it is. Just a very small amount each time.
Would you recommend that people not use rags?
Yeah, really the paper's better. Cloth, there's a number of things, but if it gets snagged in there, it can wrap up. This being paper, it'll shred and pull apart. And if the glue sets too quickly and it sticks, it'll just pull a little piece of the towel off. But with cloth, it doesn't work like that. So,
Dave, I've done some of this with the pens, and at the beginning I was having great luck, and then I started running into a situation where there would be some cracks that would develop that seemed to be in deep. What's that all about?
Well, that's a great question, and we're just about done. Maybe one more coat after this. But what happens with that? We put the accelerator on. You notice when I started, I didn't put any on because we wanted that to glue to really be able to bond into the wood. If I would have put accelerator, it would have set up right there, and it wouldn't have bonded in well. So what happens here, if you put on too thick a coat, once you get going, you accelerate between each coat, you'd put on a layer, and that layer would set up, and then you accelerate again, and if it's too thick, you're accelerating the two surfaces, and the center is not curing.
I see.
And it takes 2 or 3 days sometimes before those cracks or checks will show up. And it's deep into the finish. It's not like you could just sand the surface a little bit and clean it up. You'd have to take it all the way back down.
So real thin layers.
Very thin layers. That's why, I just can't, overemphasize that, because thin layers will do it. Mm-hmm. I'm going to do one more here, and then we'll finish this thing.
So if you wanted a really artistic look to it with lots of cracking and crazing, use thick coats.
There you go. You could start a whole new fad. Okay, again, this is 400, and I'm just going to go over this, and what I'm after now is that I get an even scratch pattern. You see the lines that are still kind of shiny. They aren't getting that dull finish. That's what I need to sand through till I get that nice, dull look all the way across. Then I know I'm uniform. And again, I'm using 400 grit here. And now is where this micro mesh, it looks like it's clogging, and you just tap it and it all falls off, so that you can use this for a long time. Okay, I'll go back to these pads, and now I'm just going to use the finer ones, to polish this and get it to start to come up. I'm going to use the other side of this pad now, and we'll start, and we've got, again, this polish, and the polish comes in two different consistencies as well. There's a satin, and a lot of folks like to just use the satin, and that's all. If it will come out of there. There we go. We got lots of it that time. Okay? And
you just need a little bit of that?
Yeah,
again?
I've got enough there for about 5 pens. But that's okay, because what I'm going to do is just fold the pad over and use the other side now. So I apply that and then just polish it, and you can see the sheen come right up. Now, one thing, too, we're going to go ahead and use then the real fine for the really polished surface, but we'll stop and look at this. You don't want to contaminate these. So I don't want to use this part of the towel again, because that abrasive will be on there. Mm-hmm. So I'll just fold the towel the other way now, and we'll get the fine finish out here and give it a go.
This is a lot like a buffing compound, isn't it?
That's really, that's exactly what this is. It's just formulated to work very well with the CA finishes. Well, okay. We'll just get a little on here. I don't need too much anyway.
Even that's a lot more than you need, it looks like.
You really don't need too much, but you can see that kind of just settles right in, and then now you can just see it just gets to be like a mirror finish.
Like the top of your head.
Yeah, funny man, funny man.
Now, these plastic ones at the end, what are those about?
Those are, they're actually bushings, because when you finish a pen, of course, it's turned down to match the bushings on your mandrels. And if you finish, the glue sticks to those bushings,
right.
and then your bushings are ruined. And so these are made just for applying this. The glue will not stick to those. And so now that we're finished, we could just pull that piece right off. The glue doesn't stick to those; it comes right off, and there we are.
Wow.
And that's hard now? And
Yep, it's ready to go. It's finished totally. So that's the process.
does all of this come in the kit?
Everything but these bushings. The bushings are sold separately, and they come 4 to a pack, so you've got enough to do lots and lots of pens. Eventually, they are going to get worn from doing different size pieces. You know, some of the pen kits with the cigar pens and things, they come up higher, and you get little worn rings on them. So,
Do they come with a collet too, also? Is the
oh
collet that's
no,
holding the
no,
bushing?
that's just part of the mandrel set up to hold the pens to turn them and all that sort of thing. It's just the bushings in a kit.
That's great.
Okay. One other thing, you know, this is just finish, but it makes a great glue as well, and we'll be looking at that in another video.
Okay.